This is Level Up Life After 40 with Chey P.
and Amy E., helping women over 40 to grow, reinvent, and stop settling for just getting by.
Because your best chapter might just be ahead.
Thanks for tuning in to another fantastic episode of Level Up Life After 40 with Chey P. and Amy E. And I don't know about you, but I was thinking the other day, remember when you were in your 20s and you were literally able to, you woke up, you worked an entire day, possibly 10 hours plus on your feet, went home, maybe ate some ramen noodles for dinner, and then met up with your friends, didn't get home till, I don't know, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning to get what, 4-ish hours of sleep, only to wake up at 6 a.m. and do it all over again the next day, including the partying. Like, the thought of that right now just tires me. So today's topic is, it's crazy and as hard as it sounds, but as we get older, our energy levels decrease. And so we're going to talk a little bit about why that is, but also on the flip side, stick around because we're going to give you some ways to combat it, to help, keep those energy levels up. Because remember, this is the Level Up Life After 40 podcast. We're busy. We're running careers. We're running families. We're moving and shaking, and being tired is just not part of the vocabulary of leveling up life. So, I'm just going to kind of start out, Cheyenne. What were you doing prior to recording this episode?
I I was taking a 2-hour nap. And I'm not kidding. It was straight up 2 hours. I'm not a 20-minuter usually. If I have a 20-minute nap, it's only because I have to get up in 20 minutes. But if I take a nap, I'm down for the count, and you can forget about me for go watch a movie. That's when you'll see me again, and watch a movie with commercials.
So we're laughing about energy levels, and clearly Cheyenne is kind of on the decline in the energy level. The fact that you had to bust out a nap at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the reasons why is, as you get older, your body just naturally doesn't go into the deep REM sleep like you used to. Your circadian rhythm shifts. And so instead of getting into those REM sleep, low waves, you're constantly up. Remember when you were a teenager and you could literally hit the pillow, close your eyes, and sleep for 10 to 12 hours straight? I can't remember the last time I did that. I think I wake up almost every 2 hours. A lot of times it's to pee. A lot of
Sure.
times it's because I have some dogs in my bed and everybody's moving around. But the bottom line is I think too, the quality of sleep is not as good because our minds are just racing. When we were teenagers, we really didn't have a whole lot of care in the world. We lived under mom and dad's roof. They pretty much, paid for school and stuff we needed. It wasn't until we got older and entered the real world that I've got responsibilities. I've got to work. I've got to take care of myself, my family, and your mind is constantly thinking about all the things that you've got to get done. So one of the reasons why we're so low energy during the day is because we're just not getting the sleep that we're supposed to or that our bodies need.
hmm I have to say I'm pretty fortunate because I don't typically wake up during the night. So I'm grateful for that.
You're in the minority.
Yeah, but I will sometimes wake up earlier than I would like. And then when I try to sleep in, I find I'm a little more fatigued. Like I should just get up, but it's like the body doesn't want to.
Hmm.
But fortunately, I have more trouble falling asleep than I do staying asleep. But I think it's kind of, you're right. You just have that kind of that, not a worry circle, but you know what I mean? That thought process that's going on in your head.
You lay down and all of a sudden you think about all the things that you should have done today. And then you start thinking about all the things that you need to do tomorrow. And then the
hmm
next thing you know, you're picking up your phone and you're looking at your phone, checking the time, checking your alarms, checking your messages. And it's just a vicious cycle and pattern. So one of the reasons we're so tired is because we're not getting enough sleep, which sounds really cliche, but it's true.
It's true. And sleep hygiene is huge. And because we've discussed that, and I'm just going to throw out there sleep apnea. A lot more people probably have sleep apnea than you think. And I know people think that it's usually your heavier people and stuff like that, but it's not. I know perfectly lean, healthy people work out, all that stuff, and they have sleep apnea. When I was diagnosed, I cried because I'm just like, what have I turned into? And then I found out other people that have it, and I was just like, oh, okay. So if you find that your sleep is not quality, it might be sleep apnea.
Mhm. It's very underdiagnosed, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Another reason our energy levelers are low because of hormones. So as we age, unfortunately, our testosterone, our estrogen, and our melatonin decline.
Hmm.
And melatonin is that happy little hormone that makes us go sleepy, sleepy. So
Yeah.
what do we do as a society when we start not being able to sleep? We start popping melatonin pills. Right. I need a little fix. I need to be able to sleep tonight. Your Ambien. I need to get my 8+ hours. I can't do it on my own. So I'm going to start popping a pill. And after a while, that dependency gets to the point where, the one pill wasn't doing it. So now do I need to up my dose? And it just becomes this really vicious, vicious cycle.
Yep. I think Axel said it best. I used to do a little, but a little wouldn't do it, so the little got mawa mawa. It's
Uh,
true, and I think sometimes too, because like melatonin, you see it as maybe harmless, but they also have, like, some CBD things and valerian and different herbal supplements, but,
mhm.
um, you can kind of become dependent on them, so I do think there are some sleep things, if you're gonna try them, that are a little better than others. Like, for example, and I've taken, like, sleep aid or the Tylenol PM and stuff like that, and they work, but I don't perceive them as natural, and those typically leave me so drug out in the morning that it's not necessarily like, I don't know which one's better. I'd almost rather not sleep and go in tired than go in just feeling hungover, like I need to just crawl under my desk.
Another hormone that affects your sleep is your cortisol levels. Your cortisol levels are the highest when you wake up in the morning. That's when you feel the most productive. As the day progresses, they should naturally decline. But what do we do when we start feeling a little bit tired? We pop that caffeine,
Mhm.
right? We're wired yet tired, and we wonder why we can't sleep at night.
Mhm, and it's like your body wants to stop, but your brain won't let you.
Exactly.
I can firsthand experience and talk about that. I'm trying to be a little more selective because we all know that I enjoy the caffeine, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I like the way it makes my brain feel. Brett has a cup of coffee in the morning, he takes his supplements, he's fine. He does not drink another drop of caffeine in the day unless it's some extenuating circumstance, like if we were to go out and he gets a Coke with lunch or whatever. I've also heard that you shouldn't have caffeine first thing in the morning because and I'm gonna get all of this wrong, but there's some kind of receptors where you block them. They say that you should wait, I wanna say at least an hour before consuming caffeine, which you do because you get up, you do your dogs, you go to the gym and all that. So your coffee is well after that time frame they tell you to wait. Most people do not. So I think that's another issue with caffeine. I don't know. It's a mask for genuine fatigue, and
Mhm.
I think sometimes we feel like it's gonna help and you just wind up feeling worse. And then if you're having stuff with sugar or artificial sweetener, those are causing a whole slew of other problems. In fact, I've had a period of time where I was was literally wait for it, going to the gas station, getting caffeine pills that the truck drivers get, and then I'd break them into chunks so I wouldn't take too many or like have too many milligrams. So I was like vibrating. But yeah, that is a rough one. And it's one of the hardest things to quit, I think, because you get that horrible headache because your body is just like, hello. And that is a legit withdrawal problem. It is a drug and it is addictive. And I think anything that you become dependent on is a problem.
Mhm. Another reason why we have lower energy, and this is once again metabolic, nothing that we can really control, but we've got these little things called mitochondria in our body, which are the energy producers. And as we get old, they're not as efficient as producing the energy we need. Same
Mhm.
with your VO2 max. When you're inhaling and exhaling as that heart is pumping blood and oxygen through your body, it's not pumping as hard as it used to be. Remember when you used to be able to run a 5K like it was nothing, and now we actually might have to train for it?
No, Amy, I do not remember that in any way, shape, or form, but thank you for giving me that credit. Yes. Yes. Every day.
It's because the heart's not pumping as fast and the mitochondria aren't working as hard. So that's not necessarily something that we can control. However, when we talk later on, we'll give you some ideas of how we can maintain those things a little bit better.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Can we go back to cortisol real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just thinking too, because they always talk about cortisol being culprit for people, but people who live in a constant stress of fight or flight, and you're probably going to get to stress later, but cortisol is typically a result of that, correct?
Yes. And let's segue right into it. Stress. One of the reasons that we have less energy is because our stress levels. Like, how many of you feel that your energy is literally an erratic burst of anxiety driven productivity that then later on results in a crash? Like, think about it. You're super productive at work, you're cranking away, and then all of a sudden it's like, you just are exhausted or burned out, or you've been gunning and gunning and gunning, and then you finally sit down on the couch and literally fall asleep, only to
Mhm.
wake up 2 hours later to know that you need to go to bed, and then you can't sleep. When people ask, "What's your stress level?" On a scale of 1 to 10, how many people are raising their hand? 20.
Mm,
Stress has some serious consequences on our body and on our energy levels, and you're right, bringing up the fight or flight. Our bodies, when we get into that stressful situation, it's not that it's eating up our energy, but our bodies are trying to regulate it. So we
mhm,
have that stressful situation. Our bodies are on high alert. The cortisol levels are super, super high. And now our body has to work to try to get us back to homeostasis or back to a balance.
mhm,
And that's when we get that feeling of that crash, is our body trying to work to get us back to normality. So we hit our peak and then we hit our valley as your body is trying to get us to where normal should be.
mhm. And I'm just gonna throw out there that being stressed or busy doesn't necessarily make you a good person. So don't feel like you have to make yourself stressed or busy just because the Joneses are constantly stressed and busy. It's all right to have a stress-free, drama-free life. Kind of the goal.
Amen, sister. And then obviously the last but not least, let's not forget our lifestyle. It's It's little things over time. Remember, we talked about in your 20s, you could party like a rock star. As your 30s, you start slowing down, and each year it becomes progressive. It's the same thing with your sleep pattern or your energy level. So
Mhm,
as we get older, we make certain choices that have accumulative effects. Remember that small little uncomfortable feeling in your lower back? Now, gradually over time, that's turned into severe low back pain.
mhm.
It's eating those late night sugary snacks. It's all that artificial sweetener. We were talking earlier about sugar consumption.
Yeah.
We were mentioning diet, ice cream.
Yes. Which, okay, I shouldn't really eat dairy anyway because I have a dairy sensitivity, but I noticed, and I used to think it was because I had a dairy sensitivity. We would get ice cream from the store, and I'm using air quotes because ice cream is no longer ice cream the way ice cream used to be ice cream. And I noticed that I could eat a decent sized bowl of ice cream. Like I'm not talking, they'd say a half cup is a serving, and it's kind of like my eye, it's a half cup, it's a serving. So anyway, I would eat a decent sized bowl of ice cream, and I feel like I could go back and eat another good sized bowl of ice cream. Part of that might be by design by the manufacturers to create something that's addictive, but I'm starting to feel like it's just the lack of quality ingredients in food now, especially processed food,
Mhm.
because Brett has started making us homemade ice cream, and it's in 3 ingredients. It's sweetened condensed milk, it is heavy whipping cream, and vanilla. And you're thinking all those things are bad for you. Yes. I'm gonna eat ice cream anyway, so let me eat one with clean ingredients, and I'm telling you, I don't need near the amount. I can eat a normal size human portion, like I wouldn't be embarrassed to eat it in front of somebody portion,
Mhm.
and I'm fine, like, I'm sated. I don't feel like I have to go back for 27 more bowls of ice cream, but I think it's just comes down to the quality of ingredients, and I wanna go back to, on that note, to a point you made earlier about when you're young and you're eating ramen soup. I got married when I was 20. Brett would be out to sea. I would literally live off Healthy Choice ice cream and, Rice-A-Roni while he was gone. Because I was at the time, I was like a vegetarian/vegan, so it's not like I was a healthy one, I was just eating, and I would have protein shakes and stuff because I was a gym rat back then, so I did work out, but when you have those dietary habits as you're young and you're keeping them as you age, those are habits that have an exponential effect too. So, like with you, you've exercised consistently. You're reaping the rewards of that. So it's the same thing. Like if you had a bad habit, you continue the bad habit, you're reaping the rewards of it. So if you've established good habits, then most likely you're going to have a good result from it.
It's the quality of food that you put in yourself and the quantity. Both of
Hmm.
them have to be regulated.
But I think if you're eating whole foods, healthy foods, preparing things for yourself, I think it's so much easier. And I think when you start getting away from the processed food, you start to realize how good real food actually tastes.
I don't think most of us know what that's like anymore because
No,
everything is processed, fast food, dinners out, drive-throughs, million things going on. We don't have time to make a home cooked meal, but there's a lot to be said for going back to simple ingredients, which we can talk about in another podcast. But yes, it all affects your energy levels.
yeah, and I think exercise is probably one of the I really do feel like exercise is the answer to everything, even a little bit of exercise.
Okay, so let's segue into some of the ways how we can now increase our energy levels.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no, timing is good. How are we going to increase our energy levels when we're over 40? And the number one thing that they recommend is getting exercise, specifically strength training.
Mhm.
As we know, as we get older, we have less muscle mass, right? It's
You get
just
like
natural.
1% a year after what, 20, 25, or
30.
something?
After 30, your body just starts naturally declining in muscle mass. So we now have to work harder to keep it up. And it's as simple as twice a week.
Mhm,
It's not even like you have to be in the gym 7 days a week for an hour at a crack. Just strength training specifically twice a week will
mhm.
make exponential differences on the amount of energy you have.
Mm-mm. No, well, just even think, because people will talk about, "Oh, I wanna play with my grandkids, but then I'm never gonna get up off the floor." Getting up off the floor is kind of important,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I'm big right now too, and I know exercise would make it feel better, and I actually this is a good point I wanna make. I met with someone the other day, and she was like, "I know I need to lift some weights," and she said, "I have some 5-pound dumbbells and stuff at home." She said, "But I just don't know what to do or how to do it." And I'm like, "I can totally help you with that." I mean, just I've got the skill knowledge, I just need to get my fanny into the gym, but if you want to do something, find someone that can help you. You probably have a friend. If you look at our socials, you can go back and find a few exercise videos that Amy had done, our couch
Mhm.
potato pumps, and those are great starting points. But don't feel like you have to kill yourself in the gym. Start off easy, challenge yourself, yes, but don't don't work yourself so hard that you don't go back. But I think twice a week of strength training is a lovely start, and I
Mhm.
also wanna throw out a few years ago, I did, CrossFit workouts. They were home workouts, and I hated them. Typically, they weren't long, but I mean, I really did, I hate them. They were hard. They're deceptively hard.
Mhm.
'Cause you think, "Oh, yeah, this is easy." They're easy exercises, but when you're doing them the way you're supposed to be doing them, but there was one day because 'cause I'd been doing it for a few weeks, but I went out and rode my bike. I rode 8 miles, and I'm like, "I could keep going." And before 8 miles had been very challenging for me. And I
Mhm.
set up my garden in one day. Like, I was in the yard all day, like, heavy, heavy work at that time, like moving dirt and making rows and all the things. And I was fine. So the exercise makes such a huge difference. So
Mhm.
you can try CrossFit. Hate it, but it works, and it is not time consuming.
Right. And you can do that from home. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a bazillion videos on YouTube.
Mhm,
Number 2, stop skipping meals.
mhm.
I'm super guilty of this because I'm not a big breakfast eater. But if you're not a big breakfast eater, they say at the very least, consume some protein. Remember we talked a little bit earlier about those mitochondria, the energy makers inside our body, they start to get a little weaker and decline as we get older. Just having that little bit of protein is going to help kick them into gear, and it's going to help satisfy you so you don't get those, how many times I skip breakfast, I'm hungry, I'm going, and then you crash and you get that low blood sugar, queasy little feeling. Having that protein in the morning, even if it's something as simple as a shake, will help, get you through to your next, let's call it meal, quote unquote, which is lunch.
Right. And you talked about people not having time to cook. Cook in bulk, break out the crock pot, boil eggs ahead of time. My Instant Pot, holds a lot of eggs. It all I do is put the eggs in and set it, and then that's it. My eggs are boiled.
Mhm.
It's that easy.
Yep. So, a little bit of protein in the morning, quit skipping meals. Number 3, consistent sleep.
Ugh.
Force yourself to try to go to bed at the exact same time every day.
May
Whatever
I
that
ask you? Oh, sorry. I just want to ask a quick question
Mhm.
because I know now you have like a kind of a 9 to 5 job, but when you were an entrepreneur, did you have consistent sleep? Do you feel?
Yes. I would go to bed a little bit later. I was younger, so I was able to get away with 6 or 7 hours of sleep. So I wasn't getting the full 8 that I do now. However, I was going to bed consistently around, I'd say 11:30
Ah,
and
okay.
then waking up around 6:30. So I was still getting that 7 hours.
Okay.
Um, but ideally, you want to try to get 6 to preferably 8 hours of sleep nonstop. So somebody makes the comment, "Oh, if I nap 3 hours here and then 2 hours there and then sleep," it's not the same. You will
Mhm.
not get the same benefits. Your body needs to get into that low wave sleep in order for it to feel truly rested. So
Mhm.
no TV, I know people are gonna say, "Oh no, my TV is the background. I use it for like the white noise." No, your TV emits blue light,
Mhm.
which screws up with your sleep patterns.
Yeah, and you say TV, let's just call it all screens. Stop
Or
playing video games.
mhm.
When I say video, I'm like talking about like your games on your phone. Stop texting, stop looking stuff up. I have found that if there are evenings where I have edited an episode or if I've been playing Words with Friends or whatever, if I've done a screen late or especially reels, my brain is such a gymnastic mess when I try to go to bed. So I'm doing better with putting my phone down. Although sometimes because we do watch TV, but then I'll have to look something up, so I do pick the phone up a little bit, but, I've been a little remiss lately because I'm back addicted to Words with Friends, so sometimes I just do full fast from phone games, period.
It's all good, but once again, when it's night time, put it down. People say, "Oh, I use my phone for my alarm." Okay, that's fine. Put it in silent mode. Put it in another room. When it goes off, it'll force you to get up and get your day going rather than hitting the snooze button.
It's true, and a friend of mine, she said, "I am buying everyone alarm clocks, like old-fashioned alarm clocks,
Ah.
and no one is having a phone. All the phones are gonna be downstairs."
I think it's a great idea. Somehow we managed to survive as kids and get to school on time with an alarm.
Yeah. And if you do your advice of having regular sleep schedule, odds are you're gonna wake up when you're supposed to anyway.
Yep. And feel rested and ready to go. Last bit of advice, if you can, after your dinner or any meal for that matter, to take a 10-minute walk.
Mm,
When your body eats that glucose, that stuff goes into your muscles want to use it. They want to burn it. They want to consume it. So you fed your body, now work your body. 10 minutes. Nothing
mhm,
crazy, but try to go for a 10-minute walk right after you eat a meal.
mhm. Yeah.
That for some reason, physiologically and psychologically, it will help with your energy levels.
Mhm,
There's a whole bunch of science behind it, and I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty because I don't know it, but
mhm.
it is true.
Yeah, he actually even suggested that in, I think it was like the 4 Hour Body, the guy that does all like the 4 hour work week, the 4 hour
Mm.
whatever that guy, he even talked about that. He would eat a heavy meal, and then he would go into the bathroom and do a bunch of squats. And
But
his friends made fun of him, but he's like, "Whatever," 'cause it worked.
uh
Um, I wanna throw just a couple other things out there if I could. Are you done with
please,
your list?
I'm done with my list. Let's hear Shy P.
Okay. So, adrenal fatigue is a real thing, and that comes from us taking too many supplements, not eating right, having all the stress and stuff. So I think sometimes giving your body a chance to reset is good.
What is
Uh,
adrenal fatigue?
I'm gonna screw that up because I didn't look it up. I'm gonna do the generalization of my understanding, but basically, it's just your adrenals, they have to go through processing so much. They just get tired of all the crap that we do to our bodies and they need a break. So even like with caffeine, I I should take a break from caffeine. I think I've come to the realization I'm always going to consume caffeine. I fancy the idea of getting off of it, and I've done it for periods of a time, but it's never stuck. But giving my body maybe a month break from it or a few weeks break from it, just something to allow it. Or if you're constantly taking stuff to help you sleep, maybe try to go to sleep naturally, work on some other activities for relaxation, but give your body an opportunity. Hormones, because it happens as we age, it's okay to get blood work and see if you need to have something. Supplements. If you're not getting out in the sun, take some vitamin D. A B complex is always good. I actually some of my blood work, I needed to start taking a vitamin D supplement because my vitamin D was low. Yeah. So take a good multivitamin if you can. And then sound waves. That is something that can help you relax a little bit at night. I know people who want to have the white noise. They have green noise, brown noise, pink noise. They have different kinds of noise. I think I prefer like the brown noise. It's kind of odd, but it can actually calm you. And if you are one of those that has the spy in your bedroom, you might call her Alexa or Google. You can actually get it to play for you. You can have it play calming music for you to sleep to. And if it's something that you don't know, you're going to sleep to it better. And then one last thing, just for kind of calming your brain, and it's an amino acid. It's L-theanine, and it's funny because I was looking at calming things for my cat because I had to take him to the vet, which, by the way, that's probably why I had a 2-hour nap today. But
Because your stress
um,
levels were high.
they were because it's always such a traumatic experience, and if I was
Mhm.
feeling it since I scheduled his appointment yesterday. So, but it's natural. I think it's one of the better things you can take. So if you find that your mind's kind of darting around, take a little bit of theanine. Mine's a powder. I take it with water, and it really does help to soothe you. Does not knock you out. I was able to drive to the veterinarian. It's not like a sedative. It's
Yeah.
kind of just a little bit of a calming thing. So it works really well. So I think that's one of those things that you can take without too much trouble.
All good stuff. Just to kind of wrap it up here, we're not going to be going to the clubs anymore. Maybe you are. I don't know. Who am I to judge? But if you are, you're probably not going from midnight to 2 a.m. anymore on a consistent basis.
Consistent. I was going to say, Toby Keith said, I not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not talking about your weekend, your girls' trip to Vegas, where somehow you have more energy in those 3 days than you than you do in an entire 3-month period of time. But just remember, getting older, yes, your energy levels are going to decrease. However, there are great ways that you can combat it. We've given you some examples. Read our show notes, reach out if you have any questions, and always remember, you got this. Just a quick reminder, everything we share on this podcast is for inspirational, personal growth, and real-life conversation. We're not doctors, therapists, financial advisors, or legal experts. Just two women sharing experiences, lessons, and stories to help you level up your life. Always do what's best for you and seek out qualified professionals when you need specific guidance. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and remember, you got this.